Hey, there we go. It's what I get. Hey, everybody, there we are. I wasn't talking before. I was talking to myself. No. Thanks, joking. We had a crazy, last few days. Tuesday was we streamed and we were on both. We ended up having to stream on both YouTube and Twitch because Twitch is having problems with their servers, and so we ended up. You know, we could get on and stream, but we couldn't chat, and we couldn't really tell that we were on. Like it didn't acknowledge that we even had a channel. Like Derek said, his was completely gone, and I'm like, they're not. You haven't lost your channel. It's just something's up. And then so we were streaming on both for a while. I think we streamed on both the whole time, but then by in a little while, the servers were back up, and everybody was able to log in and chat. And so we were kind of, it was interesting, we were monitoring two streams. We actually had probably more streams of people, you know, people watching than I mean, we had a lot for New Year's, but with the two, we probably had quite a few. Because, you know, there's some people that won't use Twitch, and I totally understand. And there's some people that don't like YouTube, and I totally understand that too. I got hair everywhere. I think this is me. Either this or Nick came over and trimmed his hair. No. I actually I wrote him I need new thumbnails because I'm doing the top 10 hotness video for tomorrow, and he's very shorn head, and I need to actually have thumbnails that reflect his new look, even though I think I'm going to be switching back and forth because we have one more top 10 video that they filmed prior to him cutting his hair. So we'll see how that goes. Hope everybody's doing good. We've been, hey Michael. We've been just really busy, and it's been a terrific amount of effort in the last few days. It's really sad. I mean, I was shocked we actually got live on, yowza, that hurt. I'm shocked we were end up able to go live on Tuesday just because of all the craziness. It was really, really bad. Thankfully, we were able to do so and had a good time. I am going to paint some Marvel United figures. I have them all, a bunch more painted. I painted them a while ago. I think we might do Baron Zemo maybe, anyway. Let me cut down to the down cam. I have it all set, but do I? There we do. Anyway, so I finished. So the last paint stream I was working on. I'm super thirsty. We were working on the Marvel. We were working on the Flamecraft minis, and these were the first two I finished. I actually completely finished them. I'm not. I suppose there might be a little bit more I do to the base. I'm not 100% satisfied. I decided to go for gray for the bases, so that the colors were really just the creatures, the dragons. I want to give it a little bit more shading. Hey, I got some photos, and I'm just speaking of Nick. He actually just sent the photos. And then I worked on these four the last time, and so I spent some time on them, and you can see here. Like this one has these different shades on the base for the gray. I think that's what I want to do a little tiny bit of on this one, since it's got, well, this one too, it's got, well, the stone's actually got some subtleties going on there. But this one here has a few, there's a little bit of it, but I'd like to give it a little bit more. So I finished all of these. They turned out really great. We were really hoping to film this game yesterday, and that did not happen. They all really, really came out cool. This one here, I did an iridescent. It's not really iridescent because, I mean, I used these two colors essentially on the scales, and then I put a pearl metallic medium. I actually used this metallic medium here. Although I do have two. I purchased one from Monument Hobbies, their metallic medium, the Pro Acryl. I need to try it. It looks very white. It'll be great though, because actually the other one appears to be quite silver. So I did that. I put a little bit of strong tone in the gold, and it's okay. It didn't quite do what I'd want. I mean, because I brought it back out too. I went gold over that. Maybe I need to put a few little super bright highlights. Finish this dragon, which is real cute here, waving as he's coming into the store. Or she. Horns though, I don't know. What do I know? This one here is like a Green Man one that turned out real great. And you know, it's got this really cute flowers and tree stump on here, branch. And I thought about it because I'd love to paint that, and I just thought, you know what, to me it'll be distracting. And so that's that. You know, they're very simple. They're ready. They're varnished, so they really should be ready to go. We will find out how that goes in a few days. Hopefully, we shoot that. We definitely have something else to shoot though. It has been crazy. Putting these back up here so I don't mess them up. Really need to keep the ones that are actually painted out of the way, because any kind of, I use some alcohol occasionally, and that is real bad news for acrylic painted minis, probably any painted minis. So let me look up here real quick. Oh, well, there he is right there. I don't know that I'm going to go with a complete, well, he's different than Baron Zemo. Wow, he's really different. Here's what let me show you what he looks like here. This is what their paint job, the Big Child Creatives did. Let me zoom it out a bit, theoretically here. Did the whole camera just shift? I think it did. Something is loose up there. I might fiddle with that. But anyway, there's the fully painted mini. It's got a lot of purple and stuff, and some gold, which I'll probably be doing the gold, even though I would really like to try to do. I just don't, even with the new colors, I still quite can't do it. I'm not good with gold, I'll tell you that now, with non-metallic gold. I mean, that's the thing, you should probably practice it if you can't do it. We'll see. Wow, that is really turning. Let me see here. I don't know what is going on here. I mean, I basically set this stuff up and then left it. And it's been pretty good. So something, I mean, the temperatures have changed around here. So the above camera has a lens that would stick. Like when I would crank it in, it would stick. With the temperature change, that has changed. So now I put a little piece of tape up here to hold it in place when I'm zooming it. You just got Marvel United for Christmas. Which one did you get? Did you use the main box? They are going to be doing the multiverse, Marvel United Multiverse, and I'm excited to do that. The one I'm working on, I will work on Zemo, and I'll probably finish, it's not zoomed in enough, I'll probably finish the Falcon/Captain America one I got here. I don't know that I'm going to, wow, that really is shifting now. Let me stand up and see if I can figure out what that is. I'll zoom in on the minis while I do that. I did finish, for some that haven't been watching, I did finish the Stormcast Eternals. I mean, I don't know. They have, I like doing they're cool looking minis. I like the gold. My friend did the silver for his, silver and blue, which was great. I probably should have done that because I've painted so much gold in miniature painting. Oh, here's the little bird too. But let me see if I can get this camera to not spin. I'm not really sure why that would do that. Oh, because that is twisted up above. Okay. Maybe it won't do it now. Yeah, that's much more solid. Okay. So there we go. Main box with Venom. Okay, cool. I would, I want to, I have so much to paint. I don't know if you've seen them as I've been painting them. The Hilliard. I've been painting, I'm sort of satisfied with Falcon. He's getting close. But I probably need to do a little bit smoothing out of the, because, you know, I'm using contrast paints, the Citadel contrast paints, and they are touchy. You need to make sure that you put them on as smoothly as you can and as kind of quickly as you can with the wet, working with the wet edge. But I love how quickly they work. I mean, I was able to do those dragons in a short amount of time. And I would like to get them all really cranked. I'll bring over some of the other Marvel United stuff I painted. I've not done Venom yet. But I did, I think, all the Spider-Verse stuff. I did the Sinister Seven, so Dr. Ock, Sandman. And these are all relatively quick. I did do a little bit of the Green Goblin. I did notice that I think that it was Miniature Market has a lot of the minis. I did the Miles Morales. They have a lot of the sets of Marvel United in the first run, and I imagine they're going to give you more opportunity to get more of them in the next Kickstarter if you haven't gotten them. And I got to let Nick Murphy know, because he really liked them, and he should get what he would like to get out of those if they offer that stuff again. Anyway, there's Mysterio. I don't know if I must have some more. Here's Spider-Ham. And then there's Spider-Man. So they turned out good. They go quickly. I ended up doing a little bit of this one come on, focus. On this one I didn't do so much. Boy, did I not have autofocus on. Wow. Let me see here. Maybe I turned off autofocus too. That doesn't seem right. Let's see here. Nope, it is not focusing. Let me see. Let me just turn it off and bring it back on. I don't know what I've done here. There we go. Focus is working there. I don't know what I did. Anyway, so there's, yeah, the Green Goblin turned out great. I didn't do as much with the, I kind of have this thing where I'm doing with especially the kind of comic-y and cute stuff, where the backgrounds are more grayscale. Although I've done that with all the Marvel United stuff. I'll do these. I did the metal beam here, and I put some corrosion stuff on it. But for the most part, it's just either, this one actually I did a little bit more because there was some spilled stuff, I think, in the image. But they turned out great. This one I did a lot of wet blending to try to get the shading going on. And it turned out really great. I mean, the face is really I was very happy. This is what I was specifically trying to do, and I was extremely satisfied when it came out as it did. There's a lot. These are super fun to paint. They don't take terribly long. Mostly what I do, though, is I do the zenithal underpainting, and then I use these contrast paints. There's a bunch of different styles of contrast paints now, and some of them are getting to be pretty large lines of paints. The base miniature is like this. What I do is I paint it black, and then I go and I paint at a 45-degree angle everything gray, and then I let that dry, and then I paint directly above white. Now that's me airbrushing. You can do it with a spray can, and you only need to do 2 colors, really. You can do the black, and then you just do a lighter dusting of white, on the sides, and then from the top. And then that'll give you a pretty good gradation, because you can see as you turn it upside down, it gets dark. So you have the lighting sort of naturally built in. Now, I put a lot of white here, because number one, he had that collar, and number two, I want their face to be as strong as I can. I have problems with that, I will admit. Let me show you some of the, I joke about him being angels with dirty faces. You know, it's not very strong on the shading for the face. It depends. I mean, I've done some that are okay, but mostly I like Squirrel Girl. She's way cute, but and I don't mind it being dark at all. But sometimes it's a little too dark. What was the other one? Oh yeah, Magneto turned out neat too. And that one was very simple. That was just literally the shading and then painting it, and then coming back and doing a little bit of, streaking with a very, very light amount of paint on the brush to do like these things for the girders. And I did a little bit of touch up with the I used the an Apothecary White, which is another contrast paint, to put the little bits on the bolts and stuff like that to make them look, a little bit more detail to them. And they turned out great. Oh yeah, this was cool too. I did Spider Ghost or Gwen, and I did the cowl inside and did the lines, and I was able to do that. It's not that hard, it just takes some time. So what I did is I painted very carefully the red and then the blue over it, and I might have touched it up with a little bit of white, but I don't think I did. And I'm not a fan of doing the white. I have one here that's very white, white coat. I'm going to do Kingpin, and I think I am really going to try not to do too much to the jacket itself, because the shading does a pretty good job. I might do some color on top of it, but I don't think I want to fiddle with it too much. Oh yeah, those are neat. So that's I'm going to try to do something like that as well, maybe with Falcon. But I've been following the Big Child Creative. If you look at their Kickstarter, if you look at the Kickstarter from CMON, you can see all of they have all the painted minis. Now, some of the minis are not the same, because I'm pretty certain most of the ones that were, I'm 99.9% sure, all of them were 3D printed with resin, and the models changed. You'll notice sometimes like, well, that's different, but I think for the most part they did them correctly. I think the one that was the biggest realization was Shuri. Where is she at? These guns that whatever the heck she has on her gauntlets, they were hollow, so they didn't have these little spheres inside them in the original print, and they were probably too difficult to do. This is basically done with that stuff. I did paint white on the seams. I really went crazy on that one. But the hair is very basic. I used Wildwood. Is that what it's called? Yeah, Wildwood. I don't know, I'm forgotten. It's one of my favorites. As the hair, and that's how great the detail is on this sculpt. And so it really looks, I might have done a couple levels. I usually I thin it out with the contrast medium, which is the same, it's the substrate essentially, it's the base of the paint, and then they put the pigments in. So if you use that to thin it, it does a pretty good job. So I usually ramp up a little bit. I start with a lower amount and then increase it. Because, the shading is supposed to be provided by, I'm kind of using it counter to what the speed paints do, which is you are to paint it on a completely white miniature and then put a good amount of the paint on, and it gives you gives you the shading by its settling. This is a miniature I painted entirely that method. I primed these with I don't think it was Wraithbone, but it was one of the contrast, I think it was Gray Seer might have been the color, which is here's the paint. So it's a little bit of a gray white. They now have a new one. I don't know if it's taken the place of Gray Seer, but White Scar is very white. This is I don't know if it's supposed to be for contrast specifically, but it is like the one that they recommend. But I think this looked great. I actually liked the gray. It worked more for these cool tones, and the whole shading of like this tabard or whatever this is all real cool. I did that wet blended. But this is literally just painting it on the white. So you can see you can do that. You don't necessarily need to do what I'm doing here. I just feel when you have this large of surfaces, because these are very smooth surfaces, they don't always turn out great. Like this globe, if I wasn't going for this Magneto cloudiness in there, it wouldn't have looked that great. And that was, I already knew what the situation was. I'm like, well, you know what I'm going to do? I know that's not going to be smooth. I'm just going to work on it. So I literally just put a bunch of the paint on it and then worked it to give it that cloudy aspect of it. And it turned out really great. I probably should put a little bit of gloss on this dome, maybe a satin, be a bump up from the matte that I'm using here. That might make, I'm afraid though at the same time. I like how it turned out and I don't want to tempt fate, so I probably won't fiddle with it. Although I do have a second, I don't think it's part of the Spider-Man set, but it might be. And if it's part of the Spider-Man set, I have a second one because I ordered on Amazon. They actually had the base game plus, the original base game plus Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, and the Doctor Strange miniature. And I was like, well, you know, I mean, I wouldn't mind giving anything another shot. Like, I did paint Doctor Strange, and I do like how he turned out. But, you know, it was a little more challenging. I mean, I worked on his face a little bit more, and, you know, this is me trying to increase the amount. So this is primed after some of the very first ones I did, so I put a little bit more primer on his face. And I can counter, like, the amount of darkness that the light spray that I put on here by putting more coatings of the other paints to darken it up. So I can, you know, because I'm using an airbrush, and I mean, I've used airbrushes for very long. And, you know, I'm trying to, like, just hit the face, but, you know, I'm not using, like, a detail brush because I don't feel they're very good for a detail airbrush for priming. But I still get overspray. You know what I mean? It's like, it's tucked in here on these shoulder, you know, the fur collars or whatever here. So, but we'll do this one here. We'll see what and maybe I'll continue with this. I need to work on this one. I do want to be finished with it. I do like the goggles. I think they look cool. But we'll see. I do have the Guardians of the Galaxy. I have everything. I mean, I might have missed a few little things, but I backed most everything. I got all of the. Initially, what I did, I think, on both sets was I backed just the main box plus maybe something that you needed to back just to get that expansion box of miniatures. But then I went all in. And then when they did the second set, and I was convinced, I had already spent $240 probably on that set on the Kickstarter. And then when they did the X-Men stuff, I was like, I'm just getting the main game, and I wanted Deadpool. Nicky really loves Deadpool, and then I wanted that main expansion box, you know, the stretch goals. And so I ended up going with that for a little while. Then we actually played the game because we were told, oh, it's okay. I mean, I love the minis. Then we played the game, and I'm like, oh, you know, and I really like it, and I think the game is really solid. And so I went to see one of our local stores had purchased some of the Kickstarters and sold the stuff, and they sold the heavy-duty cardboard, locations, and I'm like, darn it, those are great. So then I went and bought all, you know, on the X-Men one, I went in and all in on the heavy-duty cardboard, and then I ended up buying the matte. The matte is actually pretty phenomenal. The old one was great, but the new one was ridiculous. It's double-sided, yellow and blue, and it's stitched on the edges, and I didn't think it was going to fit on our table. Was the reason why I didn't do it the first time, and it just barely fits. But it's worth getting. I mean, you know, it's whatever you feel that you want to get involved with. I really like this stuff, and as though I said I was done, and of course I saw Britain. What is the name of that character? So it's the multiverse, and it was Kaylee Atwell's character, the mini, I think, for that one. And I'm like, I'll be back in this stuff because I love these, but I have so many minis to paint. I have like 100 and, I mean, I've painted about 50. I mean, I'll show you. I'll just do a little quick scan here and get these guys off of here so I don't destroy them. I have about 10 that are not in here. I think they're in the main box plus one. But this is how much I painted already, and I have so much more to paint. I just have tons and tons of minis. These are the ones I primed. But yeah, I've got tons of them. So I'm going to have to get back on it. It's been a couple of months since I was painting other things before because I did the Jurassic World Legacy of Isla Nublar, which I really love those too. I want to continue, well, I won't open them up. We will continue to play it. But the last one I painted was this one. And you know, this was green plastic, and I did it with my zenithal priming and then bumped up the, you know, the shade. I did quite a bit of work on the scales and stuff like that to give it the different levels of, you know, just interest and, you know, like the lighter for the underskin, you know, the belly and stuff like that. And then This I actually did it all with, I just recently bought more paints. And I'm not certain about this silver. I kind of feel I need a even brighter silver. But I used, for the silver on this, I used this metallic medium. And then I inked it. And it kind of looks like mithril silver, which was one of my old favorite GW paints. So it looked really good. I'm like, well, darn, that's not so bad. I'm big on mixing paints, but I'm also not so great on metallics. So I do have a lot of metallics. Well, I didn't. That's why I bought basically all or almost all of the metallics from Pro Acryl Monument. I got the white, gold, silver, light bronze. Now see, is there a dark bronze? I don't think so. There's a copper, a bright gold, and then the metallic medium. And I think there's one other one I have here that I bought. And the one I had previously, which is the rich gold. It is my favorite of the... I almost always like that color in every set. I had the one from the old one I used to have from Games Workshop, which is actually... Do I have it anymore? No, I don't. This is their kind of modern equivalent, Retributor armor, and it's good. It's just about as good as those. But this is the one I painted back in the day with the shiny gold when I painted my my Eldar. And this is beginnings of me painting in modern stuff. So it is nothing, and I didn't have any skill. I mean, I could paint between the lines type of a thing, but that's about it. But not much longer I was painting, more advanced stuff. I mean, you can do it. It's just, it's how much time you want to spend on it. And I love to do them, but gosh, this one took a bit of time. I think I worked on this one in the evenings for about a week. I need to get back to these. So I actually painted the whole set, and then we put it in the BGG library, and then Scott gave me, and then we painted the Gene Stealers together, and so it was fine. He gave me a new set to paint, and I'm like, that's fine, but I haven't finished them since then. And I'd love to have a little paint session like that again. It was 3 of us that painted all the Gene Stealers, and it was great. We were done pretty quickly. So let's get on this one. It's going to have some purple. I mean, these are comic books mostly, and I think the colors are more inspired by that. As a matter of fact, I did change Gamora. She has a lot of the white armor, but I went with can't remember what they did for the hair. Maybe brown, and I went for the red because I liked her hair in Endgame, or I think it was Endgame. Or I don't remember. It was whenever Thanos got the last. So it was in the first one. It was Infinity. No, it was in Endgame. No, Infinity War. So I liked her redder hair there. So I was like, I'm going to go for that. So that's the other thing. You can absolutely start. I like to just get going and following the schemes that they have for the most part. This one here, I'm trying to do it a little bit more Captain America, even though he doesn't have a star on his chest. But you can do that. I feel you should just do what you can to get into to start painting, because not everybody's bad, but I'm bad. I'll sit there and think about this forever. Yeah, the red hair is really cool. And I didn't show you one thing. There's a little trick I did to make her hair look a little bit more interesting. So I did all the priming that I said, and then I came back in and before painting it, I painted some thin whitish stripes, mostly white stripes, very light, on the peaks in her hair, and then I put the color over it. And I think that does a really great job. It's a little dusty and it's been sitting in here. It did a really great job on the hair, and it gives it some great highlights. So it works really well. And again, I really like her skin tone here on this. Turned out really nice. Oh yeah, Loki was the one I was thinking of. It looks like a little kid. Although I worked hard on this one to try to get this skin to be, because he's so pale, and it turned out good. And I went full on metallic with this one, but I did some tricks on it where I shaded it with different tones, put like a bit of a tint into the gold. I do not remember what gold I used. Actually, I think I might have used this metallic medium, and then I might have put I have some transparent yellows from transparent paints from Pro Acryl that I use, and the yellow was my go-to when I didn't have a good yellow from the Citadel line, because this is the yellow. This is the main yellow from the original. There might be one more color of a yellow, and it's not good. I mean, it's good. It's for what its purpose is. This is quite yellow when you thin it down, but it's not yellow enough. It's still kind of orange. And so I did this to get the more yellow, and it's a weird, it almost looks like the Golden Age Loki or whatever it is, you know, like in the TV series. And it turned out good. It worked out well. I did go in and do the hot and the cold to try to get his staff to straighten out a bit. It did not do that great of a job. I did another one that it worked great on. I think it really comes on how quickly you can chill it and how hot you can get it. But you'll want to do that. I did that post painting and it worked okay. But you basically, if you get it really warm, you put it in like microwaved water, and then you let it soak for a minute, and then you put it in the position you want, and then you drop it into the cold water. I do it while I'm holding it, and it does a pretty good job of straightening it out. I don't remember which one. I might have been, I have a feeling it was, goodness gracious. I try to see if I can find them in here, all the painted minis. Yes, here it was. I don't remember his name. Craven. I was trying to call Beast or something. But yeah, his spear was really, and it turned out it's very straight now. It's within reason. And so I was able to get that to work. And that was literally just put in the cold water. Hot water, then cold water. It works pretty good. That was the one I spent the most time, after I'd done this one and I didn't quite, I thought, oh, that's pretty good. And then it could be better, I bet. And then I did exactly as somebody I think in YouTube recommended, was the extremely cold water. So your hands, you might want to not put your hands in there directly because that hot water was hot. But anyway, there you go. Those are those. Many, many more to paint. Many more to paint. I have I think I put it back in the box, but I had the clamshell of the other two, and it's just so many. You know, this is just the main stretch goals box, and it's so many to paint. So what did I do with Zemo? Here he is. He's on the base. So usually I paint the face, and I actually pulled out the purple, but that is kind of a pink or magenta, and I have a new magenta. We could try that. I have not tried it yet. So this is a Doomfire magenta. You know what? We're going to go for it. Can't be that bad. I generally tend to paint inside out. Now, I want the red to be around the eyes, so I will paint this whole face the red, and then I will come in and paint. They have white irises, white eyes. So I will do that and see. Then, and I'm going to be as careful as I can because I don't want, I'm not going to probably paint these. I will probably paint, because it looks kind of like Dalmatian fur. I might paint those, just the black dots on it. But I will do my best because I don't want to mess up the face. The face is for me always the hardest to fix. I can always fix the fur. One of the tricks that I feel that you can do that maybe you can't do when you're trying to do contrast paints the correct way is if you just paint gray over it and get close to the color of the gray that is on there, it will be fine. I've even had it not be that accurate and then put the color over the whole area that's that new, that color that I'm doing, and you can't even tell. The contrast paints do, I feel, especially the true contrast paints where it's actually multi-pigment. So the issue is most of these paints are multiple pigments to do, I think, to be able to do the contrast paint trick. And some of them now, including the red and the yellow, have a single pigment. The good thing about that is it's easier to mix paints. You'll get truer colors and more results, expected results. But I have not had that much of a problem with that stuff. I've been able to get reasonable results. They don't all just turn to brown, which is one of the issues when you have colors. I do put in these agitator balls. These are ones from, I have some from MIG, I think, and I also have, no, it's not MIG, it's from, they're from AK Interactive. I haven't been buying much of their stuff, but I have the AK Interactive stainless steel ones, but I bought these from Monument Hobbies, and they're like 50 cents for, $2 for 50. And so I think I bought $10 worth, so times 5. And I'm going to just keep reusing them, right? I'll pull them out of the other paint. So this is all I'm probably ever going to need. Every time I open a new one, I just stick a new one of those in there. So let's see here. I'll do this with my brushes have gotten a hook on them already. These are new brushes. I did buy some more. We'll see how I bought another brand that was supposed to be pretty good, but I'm not sure they're going to be that wonderful. One of the things I do is I don't put my brush in for the paint. I put the end of my brush in, and that lets me have a little bit more control and not destroy the brushes, the bristles. One of the things you want to avoid is getting lots of paint inside the metal ferrule at the end here, because what it does is it forces the bristles apart and ruins them. Now that doesn't seem to be my problem. I end up hooking the end of the brush from going in, because I'm going and poking color in. It is one of the situations, because you have, you are trying to get paint in areas very delicately. As a matter of fact, I might use the smaller brush for the inside here, where I'm going to try to avoid touching the collar, the fur collar. I don't know that this needs that much mix-up, but I do mix it up anyway. Does not say shake well. This is the one I actually have. This is the paint, the bottle that I bought the most of is the contrast medium, because I use a lot of it. I've only ever replaced one bottle because I used it up and I spilled a good third of it at least once. So it wasn't. And I spilled another one previous to that, and the one that I spilled previously does not work well. The Basilicanum Gray does not work it's more of an ink now, or shade. And so I bought another bottle of that too. So those two are the only two other colors I've purchased again. And then, wow, that is really magenta E. So let's see what we get here. I like using a double aught brush for some of this. I used to use even smaller brushes all the time, like the spotter brushes, to paint all my minis. You know what? I need to change my glasses. I can't really focus. Even though I can read, no problem. I can't really get miniatures close to my face. That's pretty pale, so it may take some build up on that. It's very, very pink. Now, I'm not putting it on as thick as you probably should. I think I want like some of that, the settling into the ridges, so I'm going to try to keep working it a little bit. The problem is it starts to gel, and you do not want to touch it after that. You want to let it dry completely before putting another coat on. And it may be too light, I don't know, but I think it'll be fine. Because as I said, this is actually one of the brighter primed minis that I've done here with this, besides the GW minis, because I was following their technique. This method is one that I watched Adam Smasher on Tabletop Minions do. He was doing, as a matter of fact, I think it was these minis, it was the main box. He was doing Hulk and what was the second one he did? Hulk, maybe Thor? Is that one in the main box? I don't remember the second one. That's terrible. But I was like, oh, that's it. Because, I was a big proponent of the contrast paints already, trying to get people to do them, because I felt you really could do a good job with, beginning skills, essentially. We have plenty of friends that have been using them now and doing a good job. Scott Aldi, I got him to do it with me. He was one of the two that painted the the gene sealers with me, and we were doing those in traditional methods, and we were kind of, you know, I don't remember how many miniatures are in there. Hey, thanks for the follow, Leaf Storm 420. Oh, Leaf Storm 420. I'm painting the Marvel United minis today. So he started to paint the, you know, he bought all this stuff too. He's crazy about buying, you know, doesn't want to miss out on any of it. And here I am doing the same thing. I generally don't, but I am having fun with these. So as long as they only do one of these every year or so, I think I can do it. But the problem is I don't even know some of these characters on the new ones, on the X-Men one. So we'll see. Venom, you said, I wonder which one Venom was in. That might have been a bonus figure in the main box. That might be why I don't. Because, I mean, I have Venom. I think I have 2 Venoms in the stretch goal box. So you kind of want to keep working. Now, this, I did not do this correctly here. I should have worked to that edge. You kind of want to work with wet edges, and it's hard when you're going around. And I probably should have done the front before, finished the front before going around to the back, just because you're going to pay more attention to the front. I mean, I watched a fun video from Ninjon where he was talking about painting for the camera and how hard it is. I thought it was only me, but yeah, I have a real hard time where I tend to make a mess of the face. Thankfully, these eyes are not going to be as much detail as some of the others. Although I love doing the eyes. I love them because these are so big. I mean, compare the faces here. You know, this is it's drastic. I don't expect myself to do too much with this one, and the shading looks pretty great. I may come back in on this one and make their skin more. I don't know. I like the pictures look like this. You know, I don't know anything about those. That's from a Marvel. That's from a Warhammer Underworlds set, and I love those too. I love those because it's 5. I'm gonna drop my brush. I love those because it's like, you know, 3 to 5 miniatures per box, and that's doable. Boy, I didn't do a very good job of cleaning this miniature. That's pretty funny because I spent time on these, so I completely missed his head. It's the knit cap he's wearing of whatever the heck. Now, you know, oof, I got paint on my hand. Scared me, thought I cut myself. This is my tendency lately, is to cut myself so much. Doing every process I can do, I will cut myself. We have some work ahead of us on some stuff. I'm prepared to bang myself up. Anyway. But yeah, Warhammer Underworlds are great. Because, you know, that's $30 or so. Now, it's a little... when I started, they were considerably cheaper. I think they were $25 to $28. On places like Miniature Market or Amazon. I mean, I bought some in stores too, because if we can't, like, the way they go is they're seasons, I guess, and so I already missed, I think I've missed 3 main boxes since the pandemic started. Well, are we in it anymore? I don't know. They were, and I'm bummed because I kind of wanted to keep doing it, but I just the cost was getting escalating, and I had so many minis. I basically, it's really not their fault. I mean, the cost of things have gone up, but I just have tons of miniatures. And I also got Starcadia Quest. Scott gave me when I was at the BGG library party in May, whatever. They had a set of that. Like he often backs things twice, one for the library and one for the for himself. And I don't know if he kept that one for himself. I don't think he did. So that was he probably bought like a base game for the library and then that one. And we never used the big ones for the library, but he probably didn't want to. He didn't think he'd play it. And I'm like, I don't know, do I want those? You know, because he was, I think, tempting me because of the minis. He's like, well, they're chibis. I'm like, okay, because I'm having fun with them. I like having a lot more detail, a lot more surface to paint, and scale is great and huge. So it's been really cool. I have a new playlist playing here on Epidemic Sound, so let me know if there's anything truly awful or loud or Boy, that is hard. You really got to be careful around that collar. But I think I've done an okay job on it. It got a little bit down here, and that'll be fine. Let me let that dry so it doesn't... That's okay. That's almost close enough. Maybe a little bit more. It's really... It looks reddish, though. Maybe I need to put like a coat of red on it or add a little red to it for the second coat. I'm not really sure what that is. I should look at some pictures of the comics or something like that. Or even the TV show. I know he was on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was pretty good. Cool. Super deformed. That's a good way to say it. That's the... was that what they called the... No. Was that what they called the... what was that series called? I have some of it. Super Dungeon Explorer, or is it just something... I mean, I know that phrase. Hey, Kabuki, how's everything going? Oh, Venom was a Walmart exclusive. Awesome. Super deformed. Okay. That's a better name than Chibi's. I know that was... Nick was like, he's like, I don't like Chibi's. And then I don't know if he saw me painting them. I think he did. And was like, oh, darn it, I missed this. I should have done this stuff. Oh, hey, there's more to his collar down there. So both of these are pink already, so I'm not done. Now he's in love with him too. So hopefully, we'll see what happens here. Because he wants to get more of it. But he's also trying to rein it in. Gets out of control for sure. Yeah, I love that song. I love Matthew Sweet. Although one of my favorites of his is that one that he did that was not... It was not the first album. Heck, I don't even think even the second album. But where he did like a Neil Young-y kind of cover for it, the Zuma Beach cover. But it was all like acoustic and stuff like that. It was really great. I also recently bought all the Under the Covers thing that he did with Susanna Hoffs, which is fun. He didn't live here in LA anymore. I don't blame him. I think he moved back to Omaha. Let that dry. Looks like a brain. Sick of Myself? Yeah, I think it was Girlfriend. That's the good... Yeah, I think that was it. And it might have been called Good Friend, as a matter of fact. That was a good album. I was very happy I found that promo. I have some of those, like, those weird things that I liked. I like Cracker, but the one I really loved was a song of theirs called Bad Vibes. And it was on, like, an EP. And I think I bootleg downloaded the first time I got it. I'm one of those people... Now, I would rather buy it from the artist or, from the label. But in that case, it was such a rare single. It was on Tucson, I think. It was the B-side to Tucson, but it was, it was a CD single. When I finally found one on eBay, I was like, I'll buy it. I don't care. I mean, I bought plenty of stuff on eBay because I try the hardest to get the original material. There was recently we watched a documentary on YouTube about ELO, or really Jeff Lynne, and they were talking about all these records that came out like 8-10 years ago now, and one of them is two of them are really hard to get. There's one that's called The Best of ELO. It's called Mr. Blue Sky Best of ELO, and it's not really. It's actually re-recordings. It's one of the things you don't want to usually buy from an artist is when they're 30 years later redoing the songs. But he did a really good job of those songs. And they were showing him filming some of that stuff, and the album that he had, which was a standards album called Long Wave. And I can't find it. I cannot find it at all, and I'm really trying hard. Yeah, Jeff Lynne's an amazing singer. I think it was pre-Napster or around Napster. I don't know, but I was not a big fan of that. For a little tiny bit, I'm like, oh, this is great. And I thought, I really like supporting artists. I always have. And, I mean, my CD collection betrays me on that because I have so many. It shows exactly how bad I am. I have 7,000 or 8,000 CDs. Nikki and I met. We both used to work at a record store. in the first iteration of record stores. Well, not towards the end of that. Actually, I think when Nikki started working, there weren't any really much LPs left. When I started, there were some. And I was still an LP guy because I really did not like cassettes. Cassettes were terrible. And then I went full on CD because, you know, people argue about the sound quality, about all that stuff, but I think CDs sound really great, and they don't have scratches. As much as I am very particular about my LPs and took very good care of them, they still were not, you know, they're not great. They still have surface noise. That's something you don't hear. My father was a musician, so I've heard studio recordings, and LPs don't sound like them. They sound they're an approximation. I mean, everything's relative in approximation. Traveling Wilburys is good too. They did go in your car, but what I did back then is I bought the LP and then recorded the cassettes. So I would make better cassettes than the ones. Because my dad was the one who taught me about that. The cassette deck would eat the cassette, and he'd buy like really great cassette decks for the car. And then he'd just throw the cassette out the window, Mr. Litterer, and then we'd go and have to get it again. So that was where he started just recording, you know, doing his own copies. He was a big reel-to-reel guy too back in the day. I actually have in our living room 4 reel-to-reel tapes that he had of albums back when they used to do that. Rolling Stones and Beatles. And I wonder what the tape's like inside those. I just stuck the whole thing inside of a frame. They fit perfectly in. Yeah, you make your own tapes for sure. Of course, I bought some things on cassette, particularly like singles is what they were called back then, because the songs were only available on that. Like there was some Depeche Mode tracks that I had to buy to get that version back in the day was on those albums. And you know, they used to do, you know, bands used to do, I mean, they may still do that now again. For a while, or they didn't. But they used to do fantastic B-sides, you know. I mean, Brits were like the king of that because I think the Beatles kind of set that template where they would not put out the single on the album. For example, they didn't put Strawberry Fields and Penny Lane on an album. Those were added to the Magical Mystery Tour. So the U.S. version came out with an album version. The European, or at least the UK version, was an EP. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you could go for, and here's the other problem. LPs were really fun, even recently, when they were not that expensive. But now they're going for $40 for a new one. And you know, here's the good thing. It generally helps the label. I mean, not the label, the artist. But if you buy like big artist stuff, well, you might actually get them cheaper if you bought them from, let's say, one of what they call the majors. I don't know if they're really the majors anymore. Because there's really all one, they're just like one brand. It's all Vivendi. Everybody, they own everything, which is staggering to me. The Beatles are owned by, the catalog's owned by them. It's not really owned by them, but you know, they own part of it. And then, of course, Michael Jackson's publishing company owned the publishing rights. And the Beatles had some of that to themselves still. I bought, so the one that was weird for me, I had to have bought these before, something from them, but I bought the Van Halen first six CDs, first 6 albums on CD. They had a box set that was from the UK, but the record label said Warner Records. And I think I vaguely recall seeing that, but it was a few years back that they lost the 15-year deal to use Warner Brothers and the Shield emblem that they had. And so they switched to this, and you know, just Warner Records, and it's a weird logo. I thought it looked kind of like the budget version of like the European version of the label, but it's how the whole brand is now. But that Van Halen was really good. It's big, but it's not that big, right? It's selling. CDs actually, I think, sold more than LPs last quarter or something, or last year or something, which doesn't mean anything. They're all tiny compared to what digital is. That's where most everything is sold if they buy, and that's my problem. I'm one of those people that have seen it go away. Like a friend of mine, when Netflix came around, he was like, "Oh, this is the greatest thing ever," and he was tagging everything on to watch on Netflix, and then they just started disappearing. He was freaking out, and I told him, like, look, it's exactly like the cable channels. They're not going to hold that. They can't hold it forever. So if you want it, you better watch it soon or get it. So I end up buying a lot of my stuff. Yeah, I think CDs are just, it's the new cheap thing. You can get CDs for so when I was in Germany, I went to this used record / CD / Lego / DVD and Blu-ray and stuff like that shop. And hey, thanks for the follow, Obi-Wan Jabroni. Thank you so much for supporting us. They were selling Blu-rays and for $2 or $3, including like maybe $5 for 3D Blu-rays, and I was like, oh my gosh, because I'm crazy about the 3D stuff, and I don't think I put a thing in this blue one, purple. And so they, I went through all the CDs. Everything was like $1 or $2 or €1 or €2, which is ridiculous, and so I bought a good amount of stuff, and we were with Andy and Sebastian, and he was listening to, we put on all the stuff. He's like, wow, this is some good stuff. I'm like, yeah, I've never even seen half of this. Like I hadn't been into the record stores really. For example, I bought one CD by a group called Recoil, which is really just Alan Wilder, who used to be in Depeche Mode. And I was like, I don't have this one. And he very sparsely releases stuff. And so I bought it. It was great. And I bought a corner shop CD that I'd never seen, and I bought all kinds of stuff. I think I did buy, what was the one I bought? And Nick's like, I think we have this one, which is hilarious because I'm usually the one that remembers that stuff. It was the score for, what is it? It's Howard Keel and Catherine Grayson or whatever, the Taming of the Shrew musical anyway. And we did have it when I got home, but it was like $1 or $2, or euro or $2. Well, actually, the dollar was about €1 at that point, so it was pretty great. What is that one called? Dang it! No, not Guys and Dolls. Goodness, that's terrible. Darn it! Nikki will remember. She's definitely. I mean, I used to be the old movie guy. Back in the day when you couldn't watch this stuff. I used to go to, I was thinking about the other day, I used to go to, when I was in college, to art houses where they would run old movies. They'd have like a double feature or something, and it wasn't very expensive to go. But what was the great thing about that was I couldn't see those movies, and so I would go see them. Kiss Me, Kate. Thank you, Kabuki Kid. That is exactly it. And so if I thought about it, I probably would have got that since it is about Catherine. And we did see that this summer. We saw the Shakespeare one with Deborah in it this summer, which was fantastic. Yeah, it was just fantastic to just go get all that stuff. And CDs are not quite that cheap here. I guess the value was never completely lost on them. Wow, this is crazy with the pink and the purple. It is fun. I just don't. I mean, I really. There's actually Amoeba has all the like the best record store we have in Southern California, that I know of. Has all their stuff. A lot of their stuff online. Their LPs used to be. Well, they had massive CD sections too that were like bargain bins. So I don't even know. I never really had the time to go through that. One time, Nikki and Mom wanted to go see Walk the Line, and I didn't want to go. And so it was across the street. Amoeba has moved since then, but it was across the street, so I just spent 3 hours in Amoeba and had just the greatest times, because that was what I used to do. My friend Chris and I would go to the record stores every weekend and look and see what came in. And then we'd also look at the used stuff as well. I'm not a huge fan of the used stuff, but if it's the only way I can get it, I will take it. Now it's a lot easier to order, but I still, like I was saying, I was looking for that ELO stuff, and I can't find the best of ELO. I listened to it. It's actually, I think, available on Amazon Music, and it's probably on the other services, but it's not purchasable easily. And so I've been looking at eBay, but I don't really want to spend $30 because I know I'm not going. I mean, I've listened to them already, and I know that I'm not going to like them as much as the original recordings. They're pretty good. I mean, what's amazing is his voice is still pretty darn strong. His daughter was singing the female parts on some of that. I think she did work on their second. Wow, this paint is really just flowing. She did work on the 2015 Jeff Lynne's ELO album, and she was good too on that, I'm sure. But I did buy that one. I actually bought the 3 things I could get on. Walk the Line is great. Yeah, okay, yeah. I missed out. It's okay. I mean, I've seen it. I've already seen it. It's called, what's it called, Nikki P? Walk Hard. That was the better version of it. I know that's not true. I don't know. I'm not a huge, I don't think I've ever seen Ray. I have seen Walk Hard, though. But I'm just not a big fan of those type of films. And I'm not really sure why. Partly maybe because I know the story, sort of. But yeah, they had fun. I had fun too, though. I really had a great time. I would love to go. I mean, I almost had us go last week, and I thought, no, we should get home. I know they have one CD I want to get that I can't buy from a band called the Lemon Twigs, which is a new band. They're young. They're like 23 or 4 years old, maybe 25. Hey, Rollcraft, thanks for the follow. And it's a CD they put out a few years back in like 2018, so 4 years, almost 5 years ago now, that was, oh, they have a new song too. I didn't watch the YouTube thing yet. But it's a concept album. It's like a show. They were, because one of the brothers, the older brother, was in like Les Mis and things like that on Broadway, and the other was an actor as well. But I really like them. Their last album, which I didn't even hear, I only found it like 3 months ago, which is insane to me. Like, it came out during the pandemic, and I'm sure that's why I missed it. But it's still sad. Like, what was I doing on the internet? I could have looked that stuff up because I really liked them. So I missed 2 albums, essentially. But I did buy the most recent album, which is very good. The most recent from 2020. So this new one is coming out soon. I know I saw something about it like the beginning of last year when they were working on it. But I really like them. Indiana Jones, me too. I think it could be good. I'm one of the strange ones that I actually don't mind the Crystal Skull. I don't love it, but I don't mind it. I like seeing Marion. I actually thought, everybody hates him, but I thought Shia LaBeouf was fine in the movie. I don't know. I don't get as invested in, and I love all those things. I love the Star Wars stuff. And I was not in love with the prequels, but I mean, I still never hated them as much as some folks, and I certainly think they're mostly better than a lot of the sequels. Now, I don't hate all the sequel stuff either. The most disappointing one for me was the last one, but I mean, I didn't really love the Force Awakens either at first, but I've grown to appreciate it. I think the actor choices, they had a lot of great people there, and that's really awesome. Because I had only ever seen Oscar Isaac in a few things, and I really liked him. Thought he was great in that. Yes, I agree with you 100%. Force Awakens, it totally grew on me. But when I went to see it, with Rusty. Nikki did not go. He only had tickets for 2, and Nikki's like, just go. And so I went, and I didn't want to spoil it for anybody else. But the whole time in the theater. I was not sitting with Rusty, or no, I was next to Rusty, but I didn't want to talk. And so he was there with his parents and, you know, some other folks. He used to stand in line with that stuff. There's a documentary called Star Wait, and Rusty's in that. He is badge guy. So I guess that means he made badges. I did not see that. Made badges for the people waiting for the, you know, it was for charity. And so he ended up waiting in line and had tickets to the first night. And so I went, and the whole time I'm thinking, this is just, you know, it's Star Wars. It's, you know, and so I kept my mouth shut because Scott was going to see it that weekend, and then we had tickets for Nikki and I the following Wednesday, and so I waited and waited, and then she just leans over to me at one point. She's like, "This is beat for beat Star Wars," and I just laughed. I'm like, "Okay, I'm vindicated. I kept my mouth shut though, so let you discover for yourself." But then I've grown to enjoy it more, and I do like. I mean, I like J.J. Abrams for the most part, but I also have said for a long time now he's a remixer. I don't think he's really that great on new stories or anything like that. But what do I know? I don't really pay that much attention to him. I liked Super 8, but it really felt like kind of like a Spielberg movie. I mean, he obviously decided to have Spielberg produce it so that he would be free from guilt. But and it sounds like in the background sounds like Jean-Michel Jarre. I think I said that when I listened to this. Or could be could be the soundtrack to Tron. What was that called? Tron Legends? Legend? Oh, no, Tron Legacy. Yeah, Super 8's good. And I mean, I like Spielberg, so. I mean, he's not, you know, I liked another one people don't seem to like too much, but I really liked, it's not great, but I liked Ready Player One. You know, I don't know how much he really directed that movie, since it's animated, but Super 8 cubes as a paperweight, oh cool. But he definitely has a tendency for the schmaltz and the cheesy ending, and it's like he did it with Super 8. I mean, well, he didn't do that one. That was what's the name, but he did it with Ready Player One. You know, he's done it with all of the things. It's the one thing that's really kind of challenging with him. That's what's great about, like, I think when he was younger, he was a little bit leaner and a little bit more, I don't know, something different about him, and now it's just, and and as much as I appreciate his movies, I don't watch them all. Because they've not been that exciting for me. And I'm a genre guy anyway, I think mostly anyway. Although I did like Schindler's and stuff like that, but that's cheesy too. I mean, I didn't really love Jurassic Park initially, and I still don't think it's the greatest movie, but I like that one a lot. It's certainly better than just about all the rest. Boy, that second one was truly painful. We did not see it when it came out, though. My friend contacted me. Do not go see it. It's terrible. And he's 100% right. But I have, of course, since then watched it, and just marveled at what happened to that film, because it's clear they cut stuff. It's so insane. Weakest. Okay, so yeah, I don't like Hook. I just recently bought the cheap Blu-ray of it, though, because I just wanted to look at it, you know what I mean? It has Dustin Hoffman, and it has Bob Hoskins, and I love those guys, so I'm going to give it another shot. But, man, I couldn't handle the kids, the Lost Boys, so I'm not sure. I'm sure it's going to be pain. I have to buy, I mean, lately I also bought How I Won the War, which I've never seen. Speaking of trying to see it back in the day, I tried to see it at, I kept looking, and I'm sure I've just probably missed it, but at the theaters that would play the old films, art houses. Because I used to go to the New Art, I used to go to some other places around here in LA that I don't even think any of them exist anymore except for the New Art. and I would keep my eyes open, but I could never see it. So finally, I just gave up and bought the I never bought the DVD. I didn't think about it, I guess. You know, it kind of went out of my mind. But I just want to see it. So I spent $18. No, I've not seen the Fabelmans. I do want to see it, but I mean, I really like the people in it. So I will see it. I just don't know that I will go see it in the theater. I mean, I know what's going on with the story and everything, but I mean, I don't know it all, because that's one, you know, it's essentially a life story, a young life story of him, but I will see it, because I'm excited to see Paul Dano and Seth Rogen, and I like Michelle Williams. So it'll be cool, but I really do, I don't know, it's funny. And I like, as I said, I don't mind that Crystal Skull. It's not great, but I don't feel like he's ruined my life by doing, they ruined my life by doing that, like, you know, South Park and Aldi really hated it, and I just know that they're never going to deliver, right? My feeling is it's a miracle if they do anything that's halfway decent. And having somebody else do it is exciting. That was what was exciting about J.J. Abrams. I was truly excited about The Force Awakens and was a little disappointed in the end. But I've grown to appreciate it, as I said. I mean, again, the problem is it was okay, and I didn't really dig it. And then I saw, and I don't hate it. I actually like The Last Jedi more than most of the other two, sort of. I mean, I still think of Force Awakens, but when he threw the lightsaber over his shoulder, I literally had the realization in the theater, I'm like, oh, this isn't for me. And it was sad, right? Because, you know, I'm a huge fan of the Star Wars stuff, and I thought I really like Mark Hamill and all that stuff, but I just was like, oh, okay. And I guess I eased off, but I still hate that casino sequence. Yeah, you don't get disappointed. I heard it was solid. That's good. I've heard some mixes, right? You know, like it's a little too fantasy-oriented, but it doesn't matter. I don't... He doesn't have... I think he's telling us more than he's ever told about, like, what went on with his parents. And that's interesting. I don't know that it's going to be comfortable or anything like that, but I want to see it. We will see, though. There'll be another one I buy on the Blu-ray about the casino part. It is truly horrible. It has no reason, and you know, I've tried to give, and I really like Ryan Johnson, but gosh, it's just not good. Another one where I was excited. I'm like, oh, cool, because I was really excited about the fans doing it. You know, like having the opportunity to get in there and do something. That was what was kind of exciting about The Mandalorian. You know, some of those folks coming in and doing things. They all were like desperate, you know, very excited to do something. It's, you know, and I know that JJ was a bigger fan of Star Wars than he was of Star Trek, but I honestly feel he did a better job with the Star Trek, even though I know people don't like those either. You know, I mean, you can't please everybody for certain. So, just watch Glass Onion. I want to watch it, and it's on Netflix, so it's not that big of a deal. We'll catch it. We just need to sit down. I know it's one of those ones where I'm going to want to pay attention, and I just haven't had the time to pay attention. I'm so broke I can't even pay attention. So it looks like he has like yellow gloves and boots. Like buckskin. Is that buckskin? But yeah, I want to see it. I'm sure it's not going to be the greatest, but I'm excited that they're going to try to do more of those. Okay, so here I am not certain how I'm going to get this color. It really looks like he's wearing Uggs. And Nikki hates Uggs. It sort of needs to be a yellow-brown, so maybe I go in with like a snakebite leather and one of the yellows. Maybe the Iandon yellow, and thin it, and then it'll give me that tone. We'll see. This is where I would like to own some of the other speed paints and contrast paints. I have none of the ones from Army Painter. We finally went to go buy some. I had been meaning to go to the store forever, and I don't like to go in there too often, just because I don't really want to buy paints because I don't need them. But We finally went in the other day. It was very busy. It was during the holiday break, I think. It might have been between Christmas and might have been before Christmas too. I don't remember. But I think it was before, and they were wiped out. They were out of stock on everything, but they clearly never had the speed paints. So they're all in on the contrast paints. They did have some turbo door paints, which I'd like to try, but I really don't know. I mean, I think I just need to buy a bottle of one that looks interesting according to the little swatch that they have, which is cannot be accurate, can maybe be close. Ugg is short for uglies. They may look warm, maybe they are warm covered, but they don't look nice. Nikki hates them. I mean, she really, really hates them. I've never owned any. I do have. I'm not a fan of, but I do have a pair of, and I'm, you know, people love them, but oh, what are they called? The cork ones, German shoes. Anyway. I got them for the house, and I never wear them. What are they? But they are comfortable. I just never put them on. Yeah, Birkenstocks. Very nice pair that are like clogs, that have a suede liner, and they're smooth leather, and they look great. They're nice. I just like I'm a guy that puts on his shoes basically when he gets up. So there's never. But I have them so they're in the house, and then I have a pair of clog type shoes from Timberland or whatever that I've had, and those are for the outside. I mean, I am not that. Believe me, we have shoes at the door and things like that, but we're not like that organized as some folks. And but I do like them. I just don't. I never put them on. Because I'm like, if I'm putting on socks, which I do put on because if I'm wearing those things, I want my feet to be warm. And if I'm going to put on socks, I might as well put on shoes. So it's hilarious. It's actually hilarious. You don't wear shoes in the house? That's pretty good. We have hard floors, so it's not that big of a deal. But I don't like. I mean, I'm definitely a little bit more shoeless since the pandemic, but not a lot. I might have bought those Birkenstocks during the pandemic, actually. Birkenstocks. That kind of looks like the color. This sounds like Daft Punk / modern dance. What was the one that we heard the other day? We've never watched Community, and we started watching them recently. It was one of those ones that I thought, oh, we'll get to that, and we never did till now. Nikki and I were laughing about it. We're like, hey, it's great not watching it so much later that nobody, nobody will talk about it with us because they've already watched it. Now, Aaron was great yesterday. He's like, oh, those are great because there's some bad stuff. You know, there's some holes, but I'm like, oh, it's okay. But yeah, it's like the guy. I can't remember who was doing it. Somebody was doing a thing where they wanted to talk about it at the water cooler long after everybody watched it. Yeah, there's a surf shop near us that we walk past, and we go to we have a sandwich shop that we go to. And oops, I'm sorry, my head's in the way. And they always have Uggs sitting out, and I'm always like, hey, Nikki, there's some Uggs. She says, nope. We had a friend though in early 2000s that used to. He was an artist he was a great artist. He would do custom. I think they called it flash style tattoos type of things, but designs, but they were in permanent markers on Uggs. And that would have been the only time I would have ever considered. I wouldn't have bought them for myself, but considered getting them for Nikki. And they were really great looking though. We've seen people kind of rip that off. Marty was super talented, good artist. But we did not get those. Yeah, I was really disappointed that store had nothing. I'm like finally going into a store. We just don't have good shops now. I got some on the stone there. We have a place called Fire and Dice that used to be closer to us that we saw that they have actually, like, they're a premium GameGenic retailer, so I kind of want to go by there and see if they, because we GameGenic will send us stuff, but I don't like to ask for everything because we don't really need everything. If we're not going to put it on the show, I don't want it to really have it, because they offered to send us the new Twilight Imperium playmat, which is really looks great. And Candace loves that game, but I'm just not. I mean, I don't know about playing a game for 6 or 7 hours for a video. It's just too much. We shall see, but we've done it a couple times where the raw footage is long, but it is not hard to. It's not easy to edit those, and it's not easy to play through them. It really kind of just is a soul killer, because it's we don't get up, we don't take breaks. It's hard. It's too hard to actually take a break. And the worst was we did. I was mentioning it yesterday. We did Tapestry and Abomination. The Abomination before the quick start kind of setup they did, which probably is great. I mean, I really liked the game anyway. Nikki and I had a great time playing it, but we got through. We did Tapestry first. Rusty was teaching both of those games, and we had Jackie over, and we got so far. We're like, well, let's just finish the other one. It was like supposedly going to be 3 hours long, and it was forever. And poor Rusty hadn't eaten anything, I think, at all that day. And I'm like, okay, so please don't ever let us do that again. Tell us to stop. We can absolutely. Plus, the reality is we should have just waited and done that other game. But here's the problem. This is what happened that day. Is Jackie was here to play Abomination. She was very excited for it. So I went and bought it at Gen Con so we could play it with her. But then Scott really wanted us to do Tapestry, which we had played on the cruise, so we were already excited about it. And oh my goodness, it just was a bad choice. On hand, yeah. We do have snacks. We do not like Crocs. Really, AD&D episode, I wonder why. I have to look it up. I have the DVDs of that stuff. We've just been watching them on Netflix. I think there's now a Blu-ray set out there, maybe from like Mill Creek or something, or Sony. I actually bought some TV series stuff during the pandemic because you couldn't get them. Hey, look at the swords bent. But it's, they take up, so I rip everything. All the stuff I buy, I rip it, because we watch it on everything. Like, number one, we are the people that rewatch things a lot. And so I want to have them easily accessible, and having the discs, even though we have a good amount of storage for discs, not enough for everything. So it's just better to rip them and then put them on our server so that we can play them from wherever and not have to worry about it. The downer is, of course, it takes up a lot of space on servers, my NAS, and it's, it is probably a bit of a hit on the quality. I don't mind it, but it's got like a wrestling belt here. She was playing cosplay as a Drow Alpha, and they pulled it because it was considered blackface. Oh, I think I recall hearing about that one. We'll have to look at that. I think we probably have it on the DVDs. There was another episode of Bob and David, I think, which was, kind of an extension of the Mr. Show. And I didn't see it at the time. And it wasn't that long ago, but they had an episode that had, I think, Paget Brewster in it. And she was playing a lawyer or something. And they were doing blackface. I mean, it was they had a point, and I don't feel that they're being racist, but, obviously, it's just insensitive and not really, I don't know, not smart comedy at this point in time. And I only could see it in like the outtakes. So they have like a making of thing on Netflix for that show, and you could see what was going on in that outtake. So I got to see Paget Brewster in that because I like her. I think she's funny. We really liked Another Period. She played the mother on that. It was really funny. And she's just been around for years. I didn't watch whatever the Criminal Minds or whatever the one that is that she's on that Nikki has watched. She watches some of that stuff when she's working, but I've never watched any of it. Shirley makes crack about blackface. Yeah, there you go. It's another one of those shows that I think they really cast so well. Everybody's quite good. I've been a fan of Dan Harmon's for ages. I used to listen to his comedy group back in the day. They did a D&D thing that was pretty funny. It was like it was like some news thing saying how it's the demons, being satanic, the kids, it's drawing them in. And then, they're just nerds. I catch magic missile, and it was just really funny. And we also, I'd forgotten about it, but he had done, I'd forgotten that he had done it. I knew Rob Schrab did it, but, which was another guy from that group. What was the name of that group? Anyway, they did Heat Vision and Jack, where it was Owen Wilson was the motorcycle, and Jack was Jack Black, and Heat Vision was the motorcycle. And, it was a pilot that didn't, you can see it, I think, on YouTube, but it didn't, it might have been played on TV at some point, but I doubt it. But we watched another one, too, Boldly Going Nowhere or something, which I'd heard about for ages and didn't know that they actually did anything with it. It just didn't get picked up. That was done by the It's Always Sunny people, and it was pretty funny. We went to go see Dan's podcast, Harmontown, at Meltdown before that folded. And that was fun because the stage was in the back, like it was basically the back of a house at the comic book store, Meltdown. But I think that was I know it was Chris Hardwick was the one that put all that together, at least started it, and I think they recorded podcasts there and stuff like that. So they had like podcast studios, which were probably just rooms, but it was pretty cool. And so when they folded, it was kind of a loss, I think, to the community here. I have a spot right on this thigh that I touched before it was dry. I blew it, so I'm going to have to build that up. This song is playing again. I think maybe we played this playlist once. Or there's something up with this program. It's certainly possible. What I really should do is just download the songs and run a stream, and I could probably control the volume a little bit better. It looks pretty good. I like the face a lot, and the skin, the suit is looking pretty good. It's just his thigh there has that dot that I'm gonna have to monkey with. Nobody tunes in for this music. I'm listening to it though. It's actually kind of a bummer when I can't listen to it. It helps me a little bit just relax or whatever. Where are we at? It's only 7. I'm doing okay. Maybe I'll get close to finishing this one today. So I think I will use my traditional brown for the leather here, the Gorgonzola, and I think I'm just going to use it straight of the hilt. Straight out of the pot. Okay, what are you going to watch? I want to sit down and watch the Glass Onion. We need to do it. It'll happen this weekend. I'm really hoping to not work this weekend. Actually, I think I need to thin this a little bit. It looks really dark. We generally watch like half-hour shows just because they're so, you know, it's quick. We can get through them. We generally sit and watch them when we're having dinner or lunch or something. Nikki used to watch, I don't know why she doesn't do it anymore. She used to watch Turner Classic Movies when she was having lunch, when I wasn't around. I think that meant she took longer lunches, but when she was working from home. Yeah. The Hustler, is that the one from Aronofsky? No, not Aronofsky. Oh, the first one, way back in the day. The billiards one, right? Cincinnati Kid. Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time. What is the one? Oh, The Wrestler? No, that's not what I'm thinking of. There's another one that I was thinking of. More modern one of some... Oh, American Hustler. That might be what it is. Or American Hustle. Yeah, Paul Newman, man. The greatest. Okay, it's time for some gold. Yeah, Color Mooney was the follow-up, right? Jackie Gleason. My dad loved his Christmas music. I actually haven't listened to it in a long time. It was this real dreamy, kind of strange music that I don't know how much he actually was involved in it, or was just, you know, like directing it or producing it or whatever, but my dad loved that stuff. I do have it. I was very happy when the CD was released back in the day. But it's not like the, I think it's basically Christmas music for lovers. But, old Gleason. So one thing I don't do enough of is acrylic paint thinner. And I don't think I actually have any in here. It's basically for airbrushes. But it's really good to help thin out metallics, because you really should thin metallics out so they don't get too lumpy when they dry. It's better to do a couple coats, although I used to thin it out back in the day. That was when I really liked that gold. Played a lot of trumpet. I don't remember the trumpet in that stuff, but he obviously then he was musically inclined. But yeah, I think there was actually a couple albums of his stuff that different, like, sort of easy listening-ish things that were kind of sort of cutting edge back then. Esquivel and all those were kind of like in that genre back then. Wow, the purple is not dry. Usually dries very quickly. So this is too thin. Two thin coats. It's funny, I hadn't thought about that stuff in a long time, that music. And I know I've like, well, my mom, is good about playing Christmas music. Actually, I was very excited to do that this year, and our server went down. I did not want to dig out the CDs, so, because our music's ripped too. Goodness gracious, I'm making a mess. Yeah, I really think I need the acrylic airbrush thinner. I was going to do that brown. I mixed it and put gold down. Got carried away about something else. Decide on post-mortem. Interesting. Okay. I don't know that. I feel you can tell this music's made in Europe. Man, there's too much gold on that. I don't think I'm going to be able to cover that up. Good rotten tomatoes. Oh, Deborah was on. I forgot to tell people about it. Deborah was on Quantum Leap the other day, on Tuesday. I recorded it, but I'm looking forward to checking it out. Looks like it goes back into the 60s or 70s or something like that. I never watched Quantum Leap originally. I think Nikki did, but I never watched it. But yeah, it looked great, so I need to watch that. So I basically kind of feather it to put on some layer, to beef that back up where that I basically tore off the top cured layer of the paint, which this is why you do not want to paint these while they're still wet. You don't want to repaint any surfaces. You really just want to put it on and leave it. So you have to be patient and do not get suckered into doing it. And I'm very much I'll touch that up. Oh, made a mistake. Chromia was the band I was thinking of. I think we heard them on Community, which was funny because we really like them. I think they're a local LA band, but they played them a lot on local radio here, college radio and stuff. Oh, that's cool. No, you didn't watch Quantum Leap? I thought you said you did. I was definitely not a TV kid in the 80s. I was a young TV. I watched lots of cartoons in the afternoons when I was in school. But I think in my senior year of high school, I just completely flipped the switch on modern, like on radio and TV big time. I don't know what the deal was. I just was tired of seeing the same thing, I think is what it was. And so I didn't get a TV again. I mean, I had a TV, excuse me. I didn't get a TV connection to watch anything until I moved in with Nikki. I think maybe we got it just before I moved in with Nikki. I don't recall, but I didn't care. I was absolutely a Laserdisc guy. I was into that, and I would go around and buy Laserdiscs, and because I loved watching movies. I'm much more of a movie person, but you wouldn't know that now. Not that I won't watch movies or TV, I just don't have the opportunity to do it, spend the time to do it, where I feel that you need to give it the attention that it deserves on any of that stuff. And TV, I can kind of do that. Half hour to 45, 50 minutes is not so bad. As a matter of fact, I think we're going to watch The Bad Batch tonight, even though that'll be a weekly release once again, Wow, that is going to be bad. That is a pink color. on a white that I want to stay white or gray. Nikki likes both, though. She's definitely a TV and movie person. I'm just... And I like to pay attention to movies. And I sometimes get mad at myself, because like we were watching Star Wars movies or something before Christmas, and I started looking at my tablet, you know, or my phone, and I don't like doing that. Even though I know those movies, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't like it. I really want to give them the attention. And, you know, I think TV shows are the same, but I can do that for a half an hour to an hour. I appreciate, you know, the effort. It's like you want to give the attention that it deserves. Boy, that is really not good on the gold. It's a huge buckle. Maybe he's using it as a shield. Against shield. No. I think Baron Zemo's going to be in the new movies. Like he's in the new bad guy squad of whatever Marvel is. Oh my gosh, I keep getting it on the purple. That one little corner there, I can't do it. I do not want that on there either, because it is not covering up that easily. Okay, well the boots are okay. Color's not exactly what I wanted, but it looks sort of where I was going for it. A little bit too much brown maybe. That song sounds like praise music in a restaurant. Okay, enjoy the movie. Take care, Kabuki Kid. No problem. Take care. Man, I feel like I jumped up and changed this because I think this repeated the last time. Maybe it just is continuing. I do wish I could just play the music I like to listen to. Yeah, here it is, man. I believe I jumped up and changed it the last time. I did listen to this mix on one of the painting streams already. Man, if this goes one more time after this, I'll put up with this one more. I need to see what this song is. Thing is, I picked it. Maybe it's just one of those songs that sounds like it's ending over and over again. Oh, this song's terrible. I just got paint on myself. Probably from the belt, so don't touch the belt. I have not paint. I've read somewhere that the Marvel Crisis Protocol is actually, you assemble those minis. I kind of want to get it, the base set, but I think it's pretty expensive, just to see how that works. That is the one thing about these, is I actually like putting together the minis because I tend to do a better job of cleaning up. Although that doesn't look as awful as I thought it was going to be. But I would have definitely cleaned that head had I put that together. So they do like some cool, you know, non-metallic metal kind of thing going on in this belt buckle, which helps. I don't know that I can do that though. Hey, good, it's another song. Ooh, this is going to have to open this up, I think. Yep. Well, that is a very pale gold. I don't know that that's going to do it. I may have to try. I'm going to try to do this with, actually probably should just do the gold, light gold on it, not the mix. See if it'll do it. So now you can kind of mix these a little bit longer, because this is standard acrylic, and you can paint quicker, in my opinion. But you can tear the surface on the other, whatever you're painting, so it's not great. I think this is playing again too. How weird. Ugh, it's too well. I'm going to put a wash over that, so it'll maybe bring it all back down. Too much. There was like a spot where I had got something on that. I can see a dot there now. I'll fix that, but you can't even see where I had that. Ah, there's a little bit there, but that went down a lot, like the shade there that doesn't look right. So it's okay. One thing they do on these minis that I think is really great, but it's something I just can't, the amount of time I'll spend doing it, although I really should try to do some of them, is they do like a blue light OSL kind of thing going on, and I really like it. I'm just not that great at it. I need to get good at doing it on, I've done a little bit of that with an airbrush, where I will paint the white to do that, but oh, that's too much. The problem is you don't. I can do that, but I'm not that. And you know, this is the perfect kind of minis to do it. The scale of these is just perfect for doing it. I'm just not. I should try though. Oh my gosh. This has to be stuck. There's no way I added this 3 times to this track. This is not the previous one that we just heard, but another one that's returning. I really should just download this stuff. It's painfully not good. Go stop this. I can't take it. It is terrible. I think I stopped this playlist the last time. I think that's what happened. And I jumped to the other playlist that I had started with, but I'd added more stuff to. I think I'm going to do that again. Okay, well, give me a moment. That's going to happen. Oh, I can't take it. Can't take it. You guys may not be listening, but I am. Terrible. I'm still here. I'm just moving away for a moment. Ooh. Here we go, something else. Let me use the restroom. Okay, who knows what I just did there? There we go, I'm gonna plug back in. Pretty sure I was muted when I was in the restroom there. I hope that's true. Where's the headphones? Oh, there it is. Okay. Got some more drink too. Okay. Nikki, I don't know that I love it. I wish I caught that sword. I did not. I don't think I spent the time on these that I should have cleaning them up. Because you can fix it. It's not that easy, but it's not that hard either. It's certainly worth doing. So this was the original set of the Marvel United. They changed the formulation of their plastic in the second, in the X-Men set, and I believe that I prefer those. They're a little bit harder plastic, but I will say they seem to. We have a couple of breaks. I had to, although I had a problem with Squirrel Girl too. I actually had to sculpt an ear for her because it was missing. And I don't know if it was a glued-on piece that fell off or it just never injected properly. But it's not worth. I mean, I had to glue on one of the Sentinel's arms too. This was definitely, Squirrel Girl was in the first run, but the Sentinels were in the second batch. So they're the harder plastic, but I think that it is maybe slightly more brittle, which is probably the price of making it harder. And it snapped in the shipping, because the way they shipped it, it was just too rigid, and it probably took a strike while traveling. And I had to, you could see here it was cantilevered off here, the arm, and so I had to pin it. I put in a piece of, it's pretty good now. I think I redid it because it wasn't quite right. A lot of glue, a lot of big fat heavy paper clip as the metal for the pin, and that worked. That's water. That right there's water. Not enough paint. How's this rear doing? That's okay. Put a little bit more on there, and maybe we won't see it as much. And then another coat of the purple before I am done with that. Okay, so I need to paint gold on the hilt. Whatever they call this, the pauldron, or no, not the pauldron. See the gold that dripped onto his mask or hood? Not great. I've actually had copyright claims on the music in this stuff that we pay for. I don't understand what happened. And Derek said we should put a claim, claim that we have rights, but I couldn't even figure out how to do it. So there's, and I'm painting, so there's big gaps in me speaking anyway. But I was sad because there was like 5 minutes on 2 videos or something. Might have been the same day. Although, I don't know. But anyway, I went through and actually found those tracks on Epidemic and removed them from our playlist. But, I mean, they're still on there, so it's not like there was a fight with the original composer or something like that. I mean, I'm not even sure. This stuff might be work for hire, that they maybe get some royalties. I don't know. I don't know. It's a Swedish company. There's some amazing production going on in Sweden, so you can see why they probably just have some really great musicians and stuff. Goodness, leapt out of my hand. Well, I may go with what it is on there and not maybe blackline it or something instead of washing it, which I really won't be blacklining it, but I feel it kind of is a little strong. It is called strong tone, but it does a little bit of a, it knocks down the sheen quite a bit, which isn't bad, but it feels that sometimes a little too strong. As a matter of fact, it's great. I think it did a great job on the Warhammer Fantasy stuff I did for the Warhammer Underworlds. No, not Underworlds. Warhammer Quest that we'll be doing something for. Okay. So I'm going to try to do a mix of silver here. Don't know. It's weird how this has the memory of that. You know, it's like, oh, this is straight, but it isn't. Just put gold on there. I thought I rinsed it. Well, I did not. Let's see here, more purple. Okay. How's this spot? Pretty good. So I'll put on another coat here. It'll probably tie it all together a little bit better. So I just keep putting on the same level of diluted contrast paint. Not diluted, it's thinned down with the contrast medium. And it just keeps making it, it brings it closer and closer to the purple, and still is pretty transparent. It's not covering up my undercoating very much, and it looks pretty good. I did paint one, I painted the red skull from the main box. And it was one that I used an ultra matte, which was pretty cool. I used it on the whole mini. I just thought, oh, I want to see what this looks like. Now the funny thing is, I don't know how the red skull, it's not really very shiny, like you think his skin is gone or something, but it looked good. The matte, ultra matte is interesting. So, you know, some of it is pretty cool. I wonder if mixing might give me a better result. I feel the matte has a little bit too much sheen, and the ultra matte's a little too matte, but it isn't terrible. Either of them aren't terrible. Okay, well, I think I will try to do some silver. I'll use one of my new silvers and see how that is, and maybe use other tones to darken it up. So this is the silver. I'm gonna have to open it up. Let me shake it up here. Another nice thing about the Monument Hobbies paint is they give an agitator ball inside each bottle. One of my, can't remember, it might have been Reaper back in the day. I was talking about this the other day. Used to put an agitator ball that was really a skull in the paints, and that was really great. I mean, it's really helpful. I don't think I ever got out of that paint. I still have the bottles that I had that. Maybe one of them didn't. That's how I know that there was a skull in it, but that I finished. But it's good to have them in there, and it's, you know, I feel it's small price to just help you quickly get the paints mixed. Wow, I got silver everywhere here. Wow, that's a pretty good silver though. but yeah, it's a good way to get your paints. I use a vortex mixer, which is it's a little more expensive than when I bought it. I got it on Amazon. It's from Lab Genius, and I've had it for a long time now. And it does a great job because it really quickly stirs it up, and I'm not beating my elbow up here because stirring it up is a lot of effort, particularly on some of these. Well, contrast paints really need to be fully mixed when you use them. Most of them do anyway. And for whatever reason, like standard medium paints do a little bit better, on it as far as maintaining the pigment in the medium. You still should mix them, but look at that, I got paint everywhere. So this is going on thinner as I would have liked the gold to do. So maybe it's just better, goes down better. So I have there's a tiny bit of the shading still left underneath, which, you know, of course I should have just amped it up if I'm going to go for keeping it, but okay. Okay, so let's let that dry, but that's probably enough paint of silver. Of course, I got a giant amount on my palette. Not enough black paint. Ugh, I just squirted out a bunch. Don't have anything I really need to paint black either. Oh well. I'm going to need the tiniest amount of black for this. Not really doing it right on the brush here. Going at an angle, that's tough. Oops, I'm off camera. Off camera. Okay, it's pretty intense. I have a lot of black paint. I'm gonna use it. I don't think I'm really gonna use it. I'm doing a little better job of like getting the larger dots here, so I may want to go back and I think the surface is a little easier on this one than the collar. A little easier. That one looks better. Maybe not as like sparse as it should be, but who cares? That was bad. Too much of an angle, but it's underneath, so maybe you won't see it. That one's actually kind of blobby, but you know, what the heck? Dalmatian spots are probably not perfect. If that's what this is. I got some black on the sword here. Really don't want to paint any more silver on there, but might have to touch up my wild brush strokes here. I really am doing a better job on the big ones, for the most part. I need a few larger ones up above. Hey, that's the call my mom note. Let me snooze that. That looks pretty good though. Okay, Let me see if I can fix the sword and do a little bit of touch up there, and maybe I will be done with this for the most part, except for the base. Okay, and what I want is a little bit of a blue shade. I think the blue shade for that is, what should I use? I like that one, a Kellyan green, maybe just very thin. Hey, I think this must be the Brothers Murph. Hey, it's the Brothers Murph. Hey everybody, thanks for the raid. Let me cut to my person for a moment. Thanks for joining us. What were the Brothers Murph doing today? Wow, 48. Nice. Cool miniature. Yeah, this is Baron Zemo from Marvel. This is from the Marvel United game. It's pretty fun. Bing Bong Raid. Coimbra, which coin? Oh, the book. Okay. Thinking of the artist. That's awesome. I've not ever played that one. It looks great. That's actually pretty tight play for them. That seems to be that, you know, done in a 2-hour time frame, or well, yeah, 2 hours. I don't know that we could do that. Well, they've probably played it a few times. I'm trying to finish this one up tonight. I just started. I won't finish it, but I'll be close. I'll need to work on the base later. I kind of want to do it tonight because I have a ton of black on my palette. Because I was doing these Dalmatian spots and went a little overboard. But yeah, we've been having fun. We had a crazy stream on Tuesday because of networking, problems at Twitch, so it was crazy for us. I was very happy that we were able to get going because I thought, Nikki's like, are we not going to do it? I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to do something. We actually started streaming and then went to YouTube as well, and then Twitch got it together. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this blue, and I'm going to thin it out a lot. So they do, as I was saying, they do a lot of OSL on this, which is really cool. Object source lighting, and this color is sort of like the color they're using now. They're doing traditional paint, acrylic paints, on these minis. And I'm going to be doing it. I'm doing as much as I can with the contrast paints. So let's see what we get here. If I might not be thin enough. Nope. And it's almost too blue. Maybe it needs a little darkness in it. That's going to make it a lot darker. There's a color in here I have that's like this. I don't know what it is. I'm going to put a little bit more contrast medium in it. So this is I'm actually putting in an actual black pigmented paint, standard pigmented paint. So it's going to change it a bit, but I do want it to be a darker tone. Still pretty blue. Okay, that's pretty good. It's pretty thin, so you kind of don't have to be too crazily precise on it. Okay. Head in the way. Okay. That is probably enough for that. Just to give it some shading and stuff. I wish it was a little more pointed, but... Okay, well, cool. I think that's pretty good. We'll switch back to... Did I switch cameras? I did not. You guys have been like, hey, we're not seeing anything. So anyway, there's what I was doing. Painting the blue on that when the raid came. It turned out good. And I like the... I you know, went with a bit of a shading thing here with multiple metallics. It's okay. It'd definitely be better off if I was using doing a non-metallic mount. So I'll show you. I did this sort here, and this is done with the same kind of stuff. But I went over the white undercoat. And so what I did is I started with the blue, and then I kept adding more and more. So this is a strong portion of the version of the blue, and then I just kept adding more and more contrast medium to thin it out. And then I did put these little shiny X's on there with white paint. It's not quite as effective on the back, but it looks pretty good. I always try to do a little bit on the back side because I feel many people will just ignore it since it's not really the front of the thing, but there should be something going on there. But Baron turned out pretty neato. Oh, I didn't do his eyes yet, so I'll need to do that. Let me cut back. There we go. This is Thursday. I'll be streaming again on Tuesday morning, continuing with the Marvel United probably, or something else. I really would like to get on the Marvel United. I need to be finishing a couple of these a week if I'm going to buy another 100 of them, maybe, with their new Kickstarter. Anyway, so I'll be back on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then next Thursday, Nikki and I will be streaming Game Night. That'll be Thursday at 5:30 Pacific, 30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let me see about rating. I do not know what we've got going on here. Since the Bromers rated us. It's Bondsinator. We're going to raid Bonds. So if you say hello to us, say hello to her for me if you decide to go, and please do join her. And everybody have a great weekend. Let me start the raid here and see how we do. And try to take it easy. We got a lot of rain here. I think we're getting a little bit of a break, and then we have the rain coming back. So we had a lot of rain for the few days. Bye, everybody.